Hi there. Okay, so I am going to touch on an important subject. Voy a hablar de un tema muy importante. Lo voy a hacer en inglés y en español. I'm going to do it in English and in Spanish, okay? And it's a new law that has come into effect just at the beginning of this month, okay? And it's with respect to property ownership and certain people who will not be able to own certain properties in the state of Florida. En el estado de la Florida, ciertas personas no podrán ser dueños de ciertas propiedades, ¿ok? Y estas son personas que provienen de los siguientes países: eh, China, Rusia, Irán, Corea del Norte, Siria, Cuba y Venezuela, ¿ok? Cuba y Venezuela. So, Cuba, Venezuela, Syria, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Okay. Somebody asked me, well, why those countries? And the answer is that they are considered to a certain degree geopolitical foes or adversaries of the United States. Okay. Porque son adversarios geopolíticos de los Estados Unidos. Entonces, ¿cuáles son las propiedades que no pueden tener? Ok, primeramente, si están dentro de una base militar o a 5 millas de una base militar. So, if it's in a military base or within 5 miles of a military base, totally prohibited, okay? Now, 5 to 10 miles of a military base or other described infrastructure, and those details, if you are one of these people and you're thinking of buying property or you have property, okay, then you should call me and I will give you more details. But if you're within 5 to 10 miles of a military base or infrastructure, then you can have, under certain circumstances, okay, up to 2 acres, okay, and it has to be a residential property. If now these countries, what I do want to emphasize is, if you are a resident of the United States, or a citizen obviously, but if you're a resident of the United States, you're not just here on a tourist visa, you are allowed to own properties, to own these properties. It doesn't apply to anyone that has anything to do with these countries, but it does apply to people who are from these countries and who are not living in the United States, and with a permanent resident of the residency, so a green card is what we call it, right, of the United States. Now, if you are outside of 10 miles, so more than 10 miles from a military base or a critical infrastructure, you cannot have any agricultural, you cannot own agricultural land, okay? And so there are exceptions. By the way, if you are one of these people from China, there are more limitations. If it's specifically from China, okay, there are more limitations. This is why what I want to tell you is, if you're planning on buying any property in the state of Florida, and you have any questions because you somehow are or were from one of those countries, please feel free to give us a call or visit our website and send us a question through there. And the website is foryourside.com. My number is 813-233-3333, because there's a lot of technicalities in this. So, owning real property is obviously an important part of financial planning for many people. And some people maybe already own a property. You may have to do certain registration and disclosures, okay, even if you already own the property, okay. You can be subject to civil penalties, including losing your property, if you don't follow the registration requirements, and if you don't follow the law. And you can actually be subject to criminal penalties. So it's so important that you become informed, and that if you have any questions, you contact us before before you sign a contract to buy a piece of land, because it may be that once you sign it, depending on what the contract says, you can't get out of it, even though the law is limiting you and telling you I can't buy this property. So it's very important. Now there are exceptions, very limited exceptions, if you fall within these categories. One of them is that if you own less than 5% of stock in a company that is publicly traded and is publicly traded, then you can own that. Okay, so that's one. The other is if you inherit or you acquire it through some kind of a debt collection process. If that's the case, the second case where you inherit it or you acquire it through a debt collection company, then you will have to sell within 3 years. Okay, so even then your rights are very limited. And again, even then you may have to register, you may have to make certain declarations or be subject to sanctions. Entonces, si usted es de una de estos países, si está en una base militar o a 5 millas de una base militar, no puede tener propiedades al menos que sea ya un residente permanente de los Estados Unidos. ¿Okay? Si es de 5 a 10 millas de una base militar o una infraestructura crítica, ¿okay? Y eso la ley lo define. Si usted tiene preguntas qué es eso, me puede llamar porque es mucho detalle para este programa, ¿verdad? Pero si es en ese caso de 5 a 10 millas de una base militar o infraestructura crítica, entonces puede tener hasta 2 acres si es residencial, ¿ok? Recuerde que hay muchas limitaciones, muchos detalles que no le puedo decir aquí, pero ya por lo menos sabe que tiene que averiguar más si usted es una persona de esos países. Fuera de 10 millas de base militar o infraestructura crítica, entonces se prohíbe si es una tierra agrícola, ¿ok? Si es una tierra agrícola. Así que lo que sí le digo es, hay algunas excepciones. Si es 5% dueño de una compañía de bolsa de valores, 5% o menos, ¿ok? Menos de 5%, perdone. Y esa compañía tiene propiedades, en ese caso es una excepción. Y si es una adquisición a través de herencia o cobro de deudas, también es una excepción, pero no se puede quedar con la propiedad. La debe vender dentro de 3 años. Y de cualquier manera siempre aplican las registraciones, informaciones y declaraciones que tiene que hacerle al estado de la Florida, o puede estar enfrentando penas civiles o criminales y puede perder su propiedad. Muy importante, yo sé que un poco técnico, un poco aburrido quizás, pero muy importante. Recuerde que siempre les traigo información porque quiero estar siempre aquí por ustedes en aquiporti.com, 813-233-3333. So remember that this is a little technical, maybe a little boring, but I do want to bring you information that is very important, even if it's a little boring. And I'm always here for you, for your side of the story, for your side of life, at foryourside.com. Thank you very much.